How's
Good
it
morning,
going?
Alex. Doing really well. About yourself?
Pretty good, thanks.
Good deal. We're going to give it another minute. We've got some more folks joining in the room.
Okay.
Started. Okay, good morning, everybody. We are now joined by Alex Bowman, driver of the number 88 Lumar Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports, and we're heading into Homestead-Miami Speedway this weekend. Alex, what's your excitement level as we get ready to head down south to Homestead-Miami?
Yeah, always excited to go to any of the intermediate tracks this year. We've been really strong. Atlanta was a bit of a letdown for us. I think we kind of got caught off guard with the package that we brought there and expected to be really strong, and obviously we really weren't. So I think we learned a lot from that and have gone hopefully the right direction for Homestead. We finished that race pretty strong last year. We weren't very good in the beginning of the race, but at the end of the day, we were pretty good. So I'm ready to go. Should be a good one for us.
Good deal. We're going to open the floor for questions. If you have a question for Alex, hit the participants icon and raise your hand. We'll try to get to as many questions as possible. Our first question today is going to come from Bob Pockris. Go ahead with your question, Bob.
Yeah, Alex, there's some chatter that there might not be practice at Talladega, that you'll just go there and race. Would you be comfortable in doing that, even though you guys haven't been on the track with the new rules?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I'm a big fan of this no practice thing. I think I'm really enjoying it. I feel like we run about the same, and it gives me less time to kind of dial us out for the race. So, you know, I'm all for no practice. I think obviously the rule changes. I think we'll all be able to adapt to that really quickly, and the teams will do a really good job of having the cars prepared how they need to be for that event, and I'm all good with it.
Thank you.
Our next question is going to come from Claire B. Lang. Go ahead with the question, Claire.
Thank you. I want to ask about racing Homestead-Miami and how you have to be so careful and have such depth perception. How is your depth perception about racing Miami, and what do you expect?
Yeah, Homestead's a really interesting racetrack. There's a lot of risk versus reward on some ways you can make a lot of speed. Obviously, you can run the top really aggressively and go really fast, but how long can you really do that for without cleaning out the right side? Obviously, we're going in a much different time of year than we normally do, so it'll probably be a little bit warmer and maybe a little slicker. So we'll just have to wait and see, but yeah, you don't want to tear the right side off. The Cup cars are super unforgiving. If you get in the wall at all, you're going to have a bad day. So you got to be really careful with that and pick and choose the right times to run the top aggressively and when to kind of be a little conservative and take care of your race car.
And Alex, with no championship on the line, could it be a different kind of race because you're not looking out for a teammate that's running for a championship and nobody's watching out for that, you know?
Maybe a little bit, but I feel like when it comes to those final races, we all kind of, I mean, we're 10-10ths every week, everywhere we go. Those final races have a different kind of atmosphere around them, but I think the on-track product, we're all still trying to win races and get as much as we can get. So I think the on-track stuff will be really similar. It's just kind of that off-track kind of last day of school type feel that it probably won't have, and will be a little different.
Good luck, Alex. Thank you.
Thanks.
Our next question is going to come from Christopher Stock. Go ahead with the question, Christopher. Nope, we'll move on. We're going to go next to Jim Utter. Go ahead with the question, Jim.
Hey, Alex. I just was wondering, like, you mentioned the fact that you guys weren't probably as good at Atlanta as you'd hoped you'd be. You guys are by far not the only team that seems to be a little bit more hit or miss at places since the season restarted, even on similar type tracks. I was wondering, after talking with Greg and maybe guys at the shop, what do you think are the largest contributing factors to that? Is it no practice? Is it having to pick a setup going in and just trying to have to, best guess off sim work, or what kind of things do you think are contributing to that?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I feel like, every intermediate we've been really strong with the exception of Atlanta. I think we led laps at about all of them. Other than that, Vegas, we were strong. California, we were strong. Darlington's, both Charlottes. So, going to Atlanta, we just picked something that we thought would suit that racetrack really well. And the race just kind of played out differently than we thought it would. And the things that we thought would work just didn't work. I think if we would have practiced, we still would have went the route that we went. We thought those long green flag runs would come to us, and they just didn't. So definitely frustrating and was a bummer to not be very good there. But I think the good thing was that, as an organization, not being very good there was still 2 cars in the top 10, and we finished 12th. Last year, when we'd go somewhere and not be very good, we'd really be out to lunch. And this year, even when we're not great, it seems like we're a whole lot closer to the front. So definitely frustrating to not be that good, but I think we're definitely closer and can be better this week in Homestead.
And have you guys found, even with the sort of expanded or kind of crunched up schedule we've had for the most part, it's going to separate a little bit, and the lack of on-track practice on the races we go to, that you guys can still go back to the shop and make adjustments based on what you've learned and come back with changes that you think will work in the future? Is that still a thing that's possible?
Yeah, I don't think that's changed really. I feel like a lot of times, even when we have practice, we start with the green racetrack. We kind of chase the racetrack for a little bit, adjust the car one direction, and by the time the racetrack kind of rubbers up and works itself in, we go right back to where we unloaded, and that's where we race. So, I feel like really how we're racing the cars hasn't changed that much, and we're still having the same meetings and everything to sit down and address what we learned from the race and just trying to figure out how to use that going forward in all the same ways that we normally would.
Our next question is going to come from Bob McMenamin from the Arizona Republic. Go ahead with your question, Bob. Bob, can you hear us? You need to take yourself off mute. There you go.
Hi. Sorry about that, guys. Quick two-parter. Alex, how do you feel about NASCAR's decision to permanently ban the Confederate flag? And how close do you feel that things have been rolling for you to the point where it's coming easier? It's never easy, but that things in your team and with yourself, that it's coming into fruition. You know what I mean? You're getting to that point in your career where it's all falling together.
Yeah, for sure. I stand with NASCAR. I think there's no reason to have anything that makes anybody uncomfortable to come to a NASCAR race. I think it's a family event. We want to put on a great show and include everybody. As any fan that wants to come, I think is who we need to include. So I'm with them on that 100%. And as far as how things are going for our team and how things have gone this year, I don't necessarily think things are coming easier. We're working harder than ever. I'm working harder than ever on and off the racetrack and doing everything I can to be prepared each and every week. But I think our on-track product has been better for our race team. We've led more laps this year than in previous years. We've thrown some races away for sure. I think second Charlotte was a race that I threw away single-handedly, and I've been pretty frustrated with that ever since then. But, when we have fast race cars each and every week, there's always next week. And I feel like that's been a thing that's really given us a lot of confidence. We went to a racetrack that we were absolutely horrendous at last year on Wednesday night, going to Martinsville, and we ran sixth. We had a really great race car. So I think we're improving in every area. And I just need to do a little better job putting complete races together, but I think things are definitely coming together.
Our next question is going to come from Alex Peterman from the Palm Beach Post. Go ahead with the question, Alex.
Hey, Alex, thanks for your time this morning. Spectators returning, not necessarily the spectators that we're used to, but up to 1,000 fans and military personnel going to be at the Dixie Vodka 400. What's it like to sort of start getting that groove back a little bit with the spectators returning to the track?
Yeah, it's great to have people back. In a sense, it's been really different. I don't think you really notice how different it is until post race. Getting out of the cars to almost silence is just a really odd feeling. The beginning of Darlington, like pre-race, walking out to the car is definitely different because typically there's people everywhere and you're signing autographs and it's kind of hard to get wherever you're going. So that's a little bit different. But the post-race thing and just kind of the awkward silence in a sense is the biggest difference. So hopefully we put on a great show, and the people that are able to be there and at that race are making some noise, because that awkward silence has been a little weird.
Thanks, Alex. Good luck this weekend.
Thanks.
Our next question is going to come from Mark Garrow from the Performance Racing Network. Go ahead, Mark.
Good morning. Thank you, Alex, for joining us. Sort of dovetailing off what you were just talking about, I know that it can be aggravating for you guys and all the fans are there and you're trying to get your head into the game and for the race, and you're signing autographs and you're being grabbed and for pictures and things. But do you think now that maybe you'll appreciate that or think about that in a little bit different light now that you guys have been without it totally?
Yeah, for sure. I think, we all miss the fans and want the fans back. And, it's a bummer, everything that's going on. But, yeah, it's been super different. There are times that it's frustrating. Things like if you're sitting in the hauler and you want to go use the restroom and you got to sign 25 autographs to go to the bathroom, that can be interesting sometimes. You get followed into the bathroom and handed stuff while you're trying to go. That's a little weird, right? But it's part of what makes our sport so awesome is that our fans are so passionate. So we want everybody back, and we want to put on great shows for them. So yeah, I think there's never a lack of appreciation, but definitely just how weird it's been to not have people there has probably bumped that appreciation up even more.
And this last group of races, there's never been this kind of compaction, so many races in such a short period of time. How grueling has that been for you? And have you had to change your normal recovery routine that you normally would have, because you'd have, 6 days or so between races? Now you've got Monday, Sunday, Wednesday, Sunday, you have a different kind of thing. So how grueling has it been, and have you had to change your recovery pattern?
Definitely. So, starting off, we ran some shorter races and it wasn't bad at all. I think this week has been probably the most grueling week of my career. The recovery process definitely changed for me. The workout process during the weeks changed quite a bit. But this week, just with 500 miles at Atlanta, 2 days to turn around to go to Martinsville for 500 laps where it's super hot. We have right side windows in short track cars now, so there's no airflow. This is the hottest I've ever been in my entire life inside a race car Wednesday night. So that was really tough. Lost a ton of weight Wednesday night. Trying to put that back on for Sunday is difficult. Trying to get rehydrated for Sunday is difficult. So this week in particular, with 4 or 3 full-length races, one being 500 miles, one being 500 laps at a short track, and then 400 miles at a hot, slick racetrack in Miami is super difficult. The previous couple weeks, I would have told you, no, everything's good. It's no problem. This week has been a tough one. You don't see guys get out of a race car because they're hot in previous years. And you saw that in Martinsville because of how hot it is, how little airflow there is in the cars right now, and the lack of recovery time we have. So it's a tough time right now for sure.
Thank you.
Our final question for Alex is going to come from Christian Audi. Go ahead with your question, Christian.
What's up, Alex? Jumping ahead to Talladega, it's a track that you've won virtually, but in real life, it's kind of either you're up at the top or you're at the bottom. There's really no in between for you in your history there. What makes you think this track's kind of an all or nothing place for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think the reality is we're typically really close to the front at the end of the race, and it either works out for us or we get crashed. You know, we've crashed a lot of race cars there. We've been in contention to win a lot of races there as well. So I think last time we crashed there, we were leading when we crashed. So, you know, we just have super fast race cars at all the super speedways coming from Hendrick Motorsports, you know, our body shop, fab shop, engine shop. They put a ton of effort into those cars, and they always have us up front. Typically that's kind of where the crashes happen. So, yeah, I think it really just comes down to we either get collected in a crash and don't finish well, or we finish where we run, and that's typically up front.
Good deal. Well, Alex, thanks for taking the time to join us today. Good luck this week at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Safe travels.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Y'all have a good one.
Thanks, Alex.